During the early Trump period, we were told, particularly by pundits who were baby boomers and older, that this was not as bad as the late 1960s and the early 1970s because there wasn't as much violence. The polarization wasn't as bad. But that was always a generational cri de coeur more than an empirical reality. Yes, there was violence during those periods, but the United States is a very, very violent society now. We just don't always see it in our mainstream punditry. For example, mass incarceration is a massive problem in the United States, much bigger than it was back then, and prisons are an extremely violent place. So many Americans confront violence on an everyday basis because they're incarcerated. Similarly, mass shootings are an act of violence, increasingly frequently politically motivated acts of violence. And thirdly, what we saw yesterday in the testimonies and the hearings is a reminder that the Trump MAGA movement is undergirded by the threat of violence, threats to judges that might rule against Trump, threats to election workers and elected officials, particularly if they're Republicans who don't do exactly what Trump wants. And that threat of violence, which became much more than a threat on January 6th of 2021, when the Capitol was violently breached, and Trump supporters threatened to kill the Vice President of the United States and the Speaker of the House. That is part of what fuels the MAGA movement. And it should be a reminder, and yesterday should be a good reminder of this, of just how violent our society has become and just how violent the authoritarian movement that is trying to destroy our democracy is.